They got so lucky.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams not playing very well at the moment. I don't know what's going to turn up with Arsenal at the moment. We just don't know. We might play well. We might just not bother. We just don't know. At least we're not rubbish. That's a good thing. We were rubbish before. Before Arteta got there, we were rubbish. I hope they keep Arteta as well. I think they will. He's actually
can't keep sacking managers. You know what I mean?
No, you can't. But you saw straight away last time when Arteta came in, he insisted on playing that Man City high press thing, and you could see how unfit the players were. And the best thing he ever did was just saying, "You know what, Ozil, you're not good enough. Get out." Because he's just so lazy. Every Arsenal fan was like, "Oh, thank God we've got rid of him. Thank God he's gone." You know, he was so lazy. I mean, a brilliant player in some respects, but you can't have a lazy player in the Premier League. You just can't have it.
I mean, again, you could see how unfit the rest of the squad was. So it's almost like if everyone else was in tip-top condition and could run off him, that might be all right. But when the whole squad's lacking in a bit of sharpness,
it's 60 minutes in,
it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Just looked pretty sluggish.
No.
Definitely, no, 100%. Doesn't work unless everyone's sort of sharp. So
there's an international model, Men of the Hill. He's got his hat on now again.
Yeah, mate, I'll change that.
He's like a different guy with that cap on, isn't he? It's like his Men of the Hill uniform.
My rude boy outfit for it. You know what I mean?
All right, Adam.
Action Jackson, how are you, matey?
I'm on mute, aren't I? How is everyone? Okay.
Yes,
Mr. Jackson, I'm good, mate.
Good.
How are you?
All right, Jasper.
Good.
Yeah,
nice
very
to
well.
see you.
Very well.
Nice to see you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I'm such a happy man.
I haven't got much hair left, but what I've got, she did it. She trimmed it all down because it tends to grow out my ears more and out the side more, but nothing really taking charge on top. You know what I mean? You need to watch this, boys. This will happen to you one day.
It's already happening to me. I'm 25 years old, man, and my corners are pushing back already. Look at the nick of that.
Yeah.
I'm like brushing them forward. Yeah. My corners are pushing back already. My granddad and both uncles before the age of 30 went bald. So it's not a good sign for me at all. Like I'm just enjoying
let's
the last
keep watching
few
this
years.
for the next 5 years and see if you've still got hair then.
I'm already going. Jasper, I'm already going.
You'll shave it all off. I can see.
Yeah, I just get sick of it. Yeah, I just get sick of it. Especially when the Dubai summer kicks in. You want to just get rid of it then. Like it's absolutely brutal.
Yeah. Absolutely brutal. Mild man was completely white at the age of 25.
25.
25. Isn't that mad? 25.
That is.
He went grey.
That's
my mum's fault, maybe. You never know.
Well, you may as well blame your mum. She's still alive.
Yeah.
At least you can discuss it with her.
How did you make Dad's hair go white? Well,
shouted at him.
How you doing, mate?
Oh, is that Lou, boys?
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. How are you, mate? You right?
Yeah, good, boys. This is my good friend Louis White.
Nice to meet you guys. How's everyone?
Hello, mate.
Yeah, good.
Glenn, you must be in a good mood.
Well, Glenn's on the bloody moon at the moment.
Yeah. Enjoy while it lasts, Glenn, yeah?
Mate, sorry, followers. I will, though. On the language.
We're in the league now. We're West Ham in the league. Are they like...
don't ask him, mate.
Fourth. Wow.
For about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Leicester. The second time
Leicester are winning, aren't they? Yeah, so Leicester are going above now, I think. But
Leicester are already above. It's Chelsea that are below us, mate.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. You wouldn't know, would you? Being so far down the table, you don't.
Yeah, mate. We get nosebleed up there. So.
Jackson, aren't you a Palace fan?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
I wondered why you were so quiet, mate.
Why have you deflected onto that? It's just diabolical, I tell you.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it. I think tomorrow night is going to be quite an interesting event as well.
Which bit? Football or Boris?
Well, I was
Boris is
referring
in
to the
tomorrow, isn't
football,
it?
but yeah, you're right. I guess I should probably be keeping an eye on that instead. Hopefully, be better news than the football anyway.
Aye. You'd be all right. Let's talk of letting them people see the old ladies and stuff. It's all right. It's going the right way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, things are definitely looking more positive, aren't they?
Yeah, I think you give it another month or so. You just can't let it go too early, can you? That's the trouble.
No, and I think what they probably, well, clearly what they don't want to do is rush into it and not have the right restrictions or things in place to stop it from happening again. But I think the difference, I guess, this time around is that so many people have had the vaccine that you'd like to think that would now have a positive impact, even if they did let everybody out. So
yeah, true.
Let's
true.
see.
Have you, Jasper? Have you been jabbed?
No, mate, not yet. IP's been jabbed. I've not been jabbed.
You're in the first group, though, aren't you, Jasper? The 80s,
Thanks,
over
mate.
80s.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought they were doing well. I thought they've obviously let you slip through the net.
It's very kind of them, though, to let me as an 80-year-old slip through the net.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, no, I'm hoping to get my letter soon, so I should be all right. They told me before the end of June I should have my over 50s. Be all right.
Yeah, I think there are some just over 50s who are starting to get it now, aren't they? And then I think they're saying by the end of the summer they're hoping that most adults would have had their first jab at least, which is.
I think it depends where you are, because IP, who's in Hayes, his doctor just rang him and said, "Right, do you want to come in this week?" Thanks.
Yeah,
and I've heard nothing from mine.
So I live in Beckenham, but I was really my dad was in one of the categories for high risk, but wasn't necessarily on the first category. Anyway, he spoke to his consultant, just emailed him saying, "Oh, like just out of curiosity, is there any way you think you can maybe get me one any sooner?" He goes, and this was at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday. The next morning, Wednesday, 9 o'clock, he rang and said, "Yeah, head down to Beckenham Beacon now, and they'll give it to you." Literally, we sent him down there and he got it. So they have been really, really good in that sense. And my mum went with him and she ended up getting her jab as well. So nice. So we're really, really lucky. That's actually. Cool. Yeah.
I was at Lewisham Station. I got off the train the other day, and there was a GP practice. I don't know, within about 50 yards of the station. Mm-hmm. They obviously had vaccine that was going to be no good the following day. They were just dragging people off the train to get it done.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Otherwise it goes, doesn't it? That Pfizer one, you've got to keep it. But
it'd be such a shame to see though it go to waste when there's so many people out there who are vulnerable. So that's good to hear, isn't it?
Mm.
I think.
Did you get it done then, Ad?
I haven't had it.
No, they looked at you and went, no, mate. No. You've already had
it. When you got off the train and they said, "Adam, would you like the vaccine?" No, not me, mate, not me.
Well, no, because they were trying to drag me into it, and I was in a rush, and there was a queue out the door, and I was just like, "No."
Now's not.
I do want it though. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I do want it, but it's just.
I don't mind doing it, but I've got a bit of a phobia when it comes to needles. I'm not very good. I'm really, really bad with needles. I remember when I had blood taken, and I always think going into it, I'll be fine. And I'm not really scared of heights, not scared of many things. But when it comes to needles, I just like my palms get really sweaty and I get nervous about it. I really don't like it. But I'm trying to, like, each time I go to have like blood taken, I haven't had it done for a while. I've just tried to sort of build up some courage going into it each time. I'm getting better slowly but sure.
What I do.
It's very strange, all the phobias you have, and when you suddenly get it done and you go over that little hurdle, and then you go, "Why the hell was I worried?"
I know, that's it. I almost feel good after, because I feel like I've achieved something. It's like a nice feeling.
Yeah, you know what I do though? I tell her to do it in my left arm because I can't see that side.
Nice jokes.
So it's as if I'm looking away. I'm like, "You're doing that arm?"
You're oblivious to it, yeah.
Is that what you do when West Ham are losing?
I look that way.
Yeah.
Must have a neck strain because he looks that way a lot.
Yeah.
Have it.
Boys, does anyone want to go over any of those questions that we put on the Instagram? Does anyone want to talk about them at all, or is there anything that anyone wants to?
I've got one that came out of that one actually, which was I got banned from driving because drink driving. I did on a Friday night. I went out. I slept in the car and then drove home at like 6 a.m. and got stopped and got done for drink driving, and I lost my license for 15 months, which at the time was like an absolute nightmare. I went to work, told them, and they're like, "No, we might have to let you go." But my boss did a deal with the guy that ran it, MD, and he said, as long as you're never late for an appointment, not even 1 second late, into work every day, any appointment we give you, then you can keep your job. And before then, I was pretty slovenly, I think, with how I used to turn up for meetings and stuff. But from that day, because I wanted to keep my job and everything else, I was in work at 8:15 every morning. I was getting trains all over the country and whatever things, but having to plan and things, and it really formed something that was absolutely terrible when it happened. It gave me a lot of discipline in life to plan stuff, to make sure I'm always there. I'm never ever late, even if I was going to work one day in the morning and I had to get the bus. 2 buses broke down on me and I had to run up. I was working in Wimbledon Village. I had to run up the hill and literally got in on a sort of stroke of 9. And even then he ripped me a new one. And I said, no, honestly. And there were 2 other people on the bus, 2 of the admin people, guys on the bus and stuff. And I said that they were on the bus. They know that. They saw me running as well. And they're like, first off, what are you doing on the bus? And secondly, why are you sprinting off the bus when it broke down and stuff? But it did teach me a lot, and it made me, it just made me a lot more professional in things and plan things better, which at that stage, because probably 20 years old, 21, I wasn't, sort of bright, but, making a bit of money and drinking every night, and that was that really. But yeah, it did calm me down a bit and help a lot with my life.
That's how losing the license. So you'd think that having the car would make it easier to add more structure to your life, but it took you losing the license and not having it to give you that almost militant structure to make sure you were there every single day on time, right? So it's like you've had something taken away from you, but it's made you 10 times better and everything. Because I'm a huge I freak out if I'm more than I'm a big believer in if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. I freak out. If I show up somewhere with 5 minutes to go, I'm like freaking out completely. So it's interesting, right, that it took you losing that, and it's actually giving you more structure than when you actually had it, right?
It's a big thing, big change in my life, and make it much better, much more professional. I mean, on the back of that, I did really well in my job and stuff. I got promoted above people that would have got promoted in the other way because they've seen the different discipline and stuff, and still drank heavily as well, which is great. So.
But you can drink even heavier because you don't drive in the morning. So.
Exactly.
You can have even more pints.
That was annoying how it happened because I put a credit card in and the money was about to come out and the bloke sort of put the card in and the bloke behind me just slapped it back in again, and it refused to give me the money, which was my cab home. It's like Then I slept in my car and I was like, in those days, no Uber in those days. It was meant to happen in some respects. And you know what? That was it. And I stopped off to get bread and bacon as well on the way home, and that's what did me. So I give up bacon. That was the one that resonated with me most. I think the other one was a similar time in my life was George. Remember George Wing? I don't know if you guys remember George Wing from the club. He came in and he looked after the bar and stuff. And
yes, my old man, the bar guy. My old man done a bit of business with him with the wine.
Yeah, and he was first ever manager as well.
Boots off him and flog him.
Well, he used to get 8 different clubs together and bulk buy the beer and make it cheaper for everybody and stuff like that. Yeah. He did all these little clever little scams and stuff. But
Do you know that? Do you know who that is, Lou?
No.
What was his boy's name? Doug.
George.
Alfie. Yeah, Alfie and. I'll remember, Lou.
What was
I'll
his
tell you who
surname?
it is.
George
I can't
Wing.
remember.
But he used to take on a lot of kids in that were in trouble and stuff, and he'd take them in, and he'd have about 2 or 3 at a time, and then just help them.
Yeah.
Get through and stuff and things. But he helped again the same sort of time actually. I was sort of playing third team football, and he came down. We've got like 8, 9 teams at the club. He said, "You come down." He said, "If you train and you do disciplines, you get into the first team." And so I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. Why not? So I started training, and it was mad. We did a 5-mile run before we did anything.
Bloody hell.
And then we do sprints up this hill at the bottom of the hill, like 8, 9 sprints up the hill, racing wise. And it's quite a steep hill, Hayes Hill. And then we come back to the club, and then we do extended runs. And he like, as soon as someone's sick, and invariably it was always Kelvin, his brother, who's a goalkeeper. As soon as someone was sick, he goes, "Right, now I know you're knackered. Now we can start playing football." And he did that. But it was the fittest I've ever been in my life. And he said, "Look, we're going to win the league. We're not the greatest team. We finished mid-table year 4 years. We'll get you fit, take over as manager." And we did. We won the league. We conceded like 11 goals and stuff. But that difference and understanding being that fit and how a team works as well. It was the same team. I had like Mickey Pilgrim in front of me. He was quite old, but fantastic in the air. I just used to sweep behind him at the back, played the sweeper system, which he didn't play before. And it just taught me, again, if you put every effort in, you play as a team, you play with a plan and stuff like that. And that level of fitness as well really helps you with your concentration and everything you're doing and stuff. It really, I didn't realize it at the time, because again, you're just, you're out, you're drinking all the time and all these things as well. But I pitch up with fish and chips on the day of the match. Me and some of the other lads, we've been out all night, and we had to stop that and do those sort of little disciplines and things. But it made such, again, another little discipline. Again, at that time of life when I'm probably most susceptible to drink and everything, and being out and stuff. But yeah, it made a bit, again, it just made me understand the difference and the values of fitness and self-discipline, which was the same time as doing all the stuff with the with the drink driving and everything else as well.
I think it's proper interesting talking about the fitness side of things, because I think it's one of the things, like, I think it's so massively underrated as a stress reliever, right? Like, this, just like literally just now, I've just been out doing a 5K run because I've just had an absolute shiter of a day, and I was like, right, I just need something just to shake it off, just literally shake it off, forget about it. So I've just went for a quick run, and I think it's something that is so easy. For me, it's almost the first place that I suggest and recommend to people, like, where they start with any kind of like anxiety or negative feeling. And it's kind of like a catch-22 though, right? Because when you're feeling shite, the last thing you want to do is go and exercise or go for a run or go and do anything. But I just say to them, like, it can be as simple as literally just going for a half an hour walk. And if you want to like do like a little jog, like halfway through, or like some push-ups or something, it's just this little like endorphin switch that happens. And for me, I mean, addiction in any sense is never good, but if you're going to be addicted to something, be addicted to that endorphin rush and that little mindset change that like jogs you along. Because I do a lot of training, like with the triathlon stuff that I do and all that kind of stuff, train like maybe 12 hours a week. And honestly, like, if I wasn't doing that, everything else would go to pot. Like even my work, like, normally everyone's like, work's like the number one thing. It's not for me. I base my work around my training. So on a certain morning, I don't need to go into the office till 10 because I'm training till 9:30. Like, I structure everything around that. And honestly, over the last 4 or 5 months, the anxiety has been at an all-time low. The mood swings have been at an all-time low. like what I was saying last week about just getting pissed off at like stupid little things and then just snapping. That's been at things like that for the last 3 months or so, been at an all-time low. And I don't think people understand enough the benefit of that kind of exercise. Any kind of exercise. I think there's so many. Obviously, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but I think everyone can see it, right? Like you go out for a walk.
I've noticed over the last year how much of a difference it's made. I think even like the last 6 weeks really, like it's really clicked for me how much it helps. Like I've been. Here he is. He's a Spurs fan. He's a Spurs fan. Yeah, it's clicked like over the last 6 weeks how much I need to do the exercise to really put me in a better mood and avoid me being miserable or pissed off. Like if West Ham just lost, which we didn't, we won. Then I would have gone for a run to like make me not as annoyed. Yeah, like, I probably would have done that. So Del, if you want to go for a run or anything, mate, it'd be.
I've just been for a walk with the dogs, mate.
That's all I need. That's why Del's a bit late. He's been for his run. But
are you having a laugh, are you? The last time I went for a run, it wasn't pleasant. Listen, you just weren't as bad as we were, mate. Shocking.
I'm sad. I'm really sad that you're a Spurs fan. I really am. I love you. I think you're a great guy.
I'm glad you're in Dubai.
Like 5 in a row now, is it? Like Liverpool now?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I would have liked to have had their own record before. Same as Liverpool, but shocking. Mourinho's got to go. He's shocking. He's pinning his hopes on a cup that we ain't going to win. Cracking manager.
Who would you have in? Who would you have in place of him?
I'd have anybody. I'd have me at the moment. I'd have Glenn. That's what I'd have Glenn.
Not going by my fantasy league record at the moment.
Well, mate, I'll tell you what.
That's true.
Do you know what? It wouldn't bother me if we didn't win nothing at the end of the season, but we played decent football. It's dire watching it.
It's so un-Spurs, isn't it? It really is.
I'd rather watch West Ham.
8 at the back. It's not right.
Do you know what? When Bale came on second half, we picked it up, but it's too late by then. You can't give away 2 crappy goals and then expect to come back and win against a decent Premiership side. Yeah, I did say that, Glenn. Decent Premiership side, all right.
Love to hear it.
Not top, decent.
Well, I have just smoked a pipe, so.
We was just talking, Del, about like Doug was saying about when he used to play centre back and stuff, and
I'm surprised he can remember back that far.
No.
And how exercise is good for like anxiety, and if you're worrying about something or just in a bad mood, really, how much it affects. It can help. We don't know that, we're not like Conway was saying, we're not professionals or experts, but I definitely feel like it helps me, and he definitely feels like it helps him as well.
Perhaps the reason we're not professionals, it helps because if you think about the stress that comes with it when they're playing, I mean, we there's nothing riding on anything that we do, except for our own enjoyment.
Yeah,
and it produces endorphins as well, which obviously has a massive effect on your well-being.
Yeah, that's what Conway was saying.
It's an interesting stat I've just looked up here on ScienceDaily.com, saying on average, from the research that they did, participants experienced 3.4 days of poor mental health each month. So people that did no exercise experienced 3.5 to 4 days of poor mental health per month. But people
does that include wanking though?
I don't know. That's the only thing, isn't it?
Probably more for Spurs.
But people that exercised reported a 43.2% reduction in that time. So just under half the amount of poor mental health days when they were exercising.
Yeah.
So definitely helps.
Yeah.
Would you include running in that though?
Yeah, and walking.
I think anything like even getting out and walking, getting out for a hike or
Well, walking's a bit more social, but I mean, running is a bit. I don't know. I just see. I mean, I walk around the park with the dogs and see the runners, and none of them look happy. I've got to be fair. They all look really miserable.
I think it depends on the kind of running, doesn't it? Like you've got like out here, I'm part of a running club, and probably not now because the restrictions have changed, but normally every Tuesday at the track we get between 50 and 70 of us all at the track.
Wow. So that's more of a social thing then as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you're not there absolutely killing yourself, but you're there like just to do some like nice sort of leisurely exercise, and it's nice and social and it's good. But that was like every Tuesday that we used to do that, and it was good fun. You go for a bit of breakfast after. It was always really, really good. But the restrictions have obviously changed out here.
For me, the most enjoyable part of a run is clearly the end when you know that you've finished and
you've just done it. Yeah.
Lou, you just done 16K, didn't you?
16K this morning, which is my longest ever run. And
well, you're mad.
Yeah, mental. Some might say that. Yeah, I think. For me, definitely. I think what I enjoy about it is pushing myself more and more and feeling like I've achieved something. And then at the end of it today, it was just like my legs were obviously in agony, but other than that, I did feel really good about it. And I feel like for me, it's like an accomplishment. And I think definitely in the last year or so with lockdown, it's become even more important because we now obviously are all stuck indoors, and I think we have to do things to relieve stress. And I know for me, it's forced me to look at my fitness again. And so now 2-3 times a week, I'm making sure I'm doing things, and I 100% feel better for it. There's no doubt about it. And I think, if I was to take that away now, I know like 100% certain that I would be struggling a lot more without doing it. So
there's a lot to be said for, I think as well, see when it comes to like the running side of things. Now, I don't particularly enjoy running, so I do triathlon as a sport, and my favourite part by a mile is the bike. Yeah. But living in Dubai in the middle of the city, there's not that many places you can just hop on the bike and go for a cycle. You've got to go 45 minutes outside to the tracks and stuff. So running's the easiest method. And I think part of the feeling great after comes purely from the fact that you've said you're going to do something. So you woke up this morning and said, I'm going to run 16K. You've ran 16K. And whether it was fast or slow, you've done it. And I think a lot of like self-worth comes from that, doesn't it? A lot of self-worth and belief is like, I've said I'm going to do something. Yeah. I've stuck to it. I've done it. And you feel amazing. It's sometimes not even the run that makes you feel good. It's just the fact that you can say to yourself,
definitely. Right, I think for me as well, it's like there are points during the run where I'm definitely suffering and I'm feeling like the pain. And I think for me, towards, when you do finish it, I look back on that and think, well, I didn't give up and that was good. And I think, for example, today was just like an off the cuff thing. I've never run further than 10K until today. And my brother sort of said, right, and he's not a big runner either. He was like, right, should we go to London, get a train in and then just run home? And I was like, I didn't even have time to think about it. I just went, go on then, let's do it. Because I know if I had too much time to think about it, I'd come up with an excuse. I wouldn't do it. But the fact that I said yes to it meant that, I couldn't back out. I was on that train. I was on the way there. And then running back, there was definitely a lot of moments where I suffered. But at the end of it, it makes it 10 times sweeter. So it was good.
I'd have took you off the card.
Yeah.
That's quite a good way of doing it. So you're forcing yourself. You're saying, like, you go that far away, so you've got to get back.
Yeah. No, exactly.
No choice, really. But that's good. That's great.
Oyster card, Uber, train, bus. There's loads of places you can get back without that running lot.
How many miles you today, Jasper? You're a big walker.
Jasper's been doing big walks.
Today only 3K, but after this I'm going out for a longer walk.
Right.
What's your average? Guilted you into it, Jasper?
No, not at all. No. I basically didn't sleep well last night, so I had a little nap this afternoon after my walk this morning.
Yeah.
But I need to go out, so I'll get in about 5K to this afternoon, maybe more.
Yeah. But on average, what do you reckon you do on a walk? So I think you do it in like.
I do 10K. I've done 10K every day for the last 15 days.
That's quality.
That's
quality distance. That
that is good.
No trouble with your knees or anything?
No, mate. 80 years old. And as I've got metal hips, so it doesn't really matter. So it's all good.
Getting used to them, and
suffering, no?
Sorry.
His shoe leather's suffering.
Oh yeah, shoe leather's definitely suffering. Yes, definitely.
That's good, though, isn't it? And you take people on a walk with you as well, which is nice.
Anybody that will go with me. I had a nice walk with
Derek
the other week.
Flakes out.
Very good.
Survival.
Oh, I don't know. I've got to keep my spirits up. We've just been beaten by West Ham, for Christ's sake.
You beat everybody. I think Arsenal ain't beaten you, haven't they?
Who hasn't beaten you?
All right. There's no need to be like that. You can really go off someone, you know. What's all that fluff around your chin anyway? You've been going too close to a bird with problems.
I'm a man now, Del. I'm not 15 anymore, all right?
Get out of it. You had the same amount of hair then.
Yeah. Well, it was still a little bit grey as well, I think.
Oh, leave off. What else is happening? Anything interesting? Anything interesting people want to talk about? Someone want to come around and squeeze my floor? Fed up with that.
I thought you were doing that yourself.
Well, yeah, I am. That's why I'm asking if anybody else wants to do it.
I don't know. Is there anyone else want to speak about anything in particular? I mean, I had a bit of a shit week last week. Couldn't get motivated to go to the gym really. Mainly because I was tired, I think, from switching shifts. But otherwise, I'm really been in a bad mood.
Now, Glenn?
I'm on nights at the minute, yeah. So
how do you generally find that? Because it's something I've never done before, and I'm curious just to sort of see what I don't know how different life is when you're.
What I don't like is when I'm in the if I'm working from home on nights, it's fine. But then if I'm in the office, I don't see Amy all week. So which is it's nice for a couple of days, but then I'm like, fuck, like, you know.
Yeah, there's no interaction, and you're like,
there's no interaction at all, really. Yeah.
If you're living together and then you're living completely different like cycles, then that must be really strange.
Yeah, so like for 2 weeks, out of the 2 weeks, I see her for 4 days or something, not even that. So it's a bit like, but it's more just a crossover from getting up at like 4:30, 5 in the morning, and then to staying up till sort of 1:30 a.m. like in the morning, and getting up at whenever, you know.
How many do you do on a bounce though, Glenn?
So it's normally 2 and 2, so it's not that bad. But
what, 2 nights and then 2 days?
No, so two weeks of nights and then 2 weeks of earlies.
Okay.
It's all if we done it like that, it would just be awful.
It's a nightmare. I do. I mean, the way I've worked at nights for 8 years now, and I do 2 on, 2 off.
Days or weeks? No.
Days. 2 on, 2 off. 3 on, 2 off. 2 on, and then 3 off. So I'll reverse the weeks. Whatever I do one week, I'll reverse it the following week. Right. So the most I ever do, but they're 12-hour shifts. So
yeah, that's tough.
It's all right. Ain't too bad.
Like I've done it for years now, but for 5, 6, 7 years or something. But it does take a toll on your body, like getting up at them hours, and like, I mean, it was even worse at home. I was getting up at 3 in the morning at home, like when I worked for Euroclear, like it was even worse. But like it's just so hard to adjust to the times, and then by the time you get used to it, you've only got a few days left, and then you change shift again. You know what I mean? But it is tough to like get motivated when you're sleeping at silly hours and waking up at sort of 9, 10 a.m. when I'm used to and like waking up at like 6 or whatever, even on the weekends.
It's tough to get to sleep as well, though.
Yeah,
it's not always easy to get to sleep during the day.
I can imagine. It's like if you're set into a certain routine for like most of your life, and then you go to do nights, it would be a real shock to the system. Like I imagine I'd find it really hard to sleep at a time that I wasn't used to. So,
well, naturally, we're not programmed to do it. We're diurnal. No. We're diurnal creatures. So it doesn't matter how many years and nights you do. Give it a week off, and you'll still struggle.
Yeah,
a week off nights. You'll still struggle to go back to it.
I bet.
Yeah,
but it has its benefits.
It does. I think it just makes me sort of lazy, and then I get miserable and don't want to do anything. Like Monday last week, I literally 5 hours. I sat on the sofa. I put my gym gear on and trainers, and I still lied on the sofa.
Honestly,
like I couldn't. It took 5 hours till I went, right, Glenn, just get up and do it.
Yeah.
Love them workouts. Love them ones. Best ones ever.
Yeah.
It's a stress putting them trainers on, I tell you. Real workout.
Did you go in the end or not?
Yeah, I did, and I felt better for it. But then I was like, why on earth did I not do this 5 hours ago? Do you know what I mean? Like, I just couldn't get myself out of that rut.
What's the deal with lockdown over there? Are you like sort of locked down in any way for an indefinite period, or what's going on?
We're out doing everything. I mean, I went to the West Ham supporters club just now, like the pub, and they've socially.
What was there, 5 of you there?
About 25 actually today. It was quite a large group. It was a big game, you know.
I bet some of them was Arsenal fans.
Anyway, onto other things. Don't want to keep talking about West Ham all the time, do we? Yeah, they socially distanced the tables, but you could still sit with 6 people on there, all close together.
I feel a bit bad talking about it. I don't know about you, Glenn. I feel a bit bad talking about lockdown over here because honestly, Adam, the only thing that's different here is the fact that we get a $2,000 fine if we're not wearing a face mask. That's honestly, that's the only difference. Like everything else, like pools are open, bars are open, you can go play pool. Like it's because we went into lockdown, like super strict lockdown very early, like March last year. We had to get a permit to leave our house. Like we had to
for
go on a government
3 or 4
website.
months we couldn't leave.
Couldn't. Like we were literally, if you got caught outside without that permit, again, £3,000-4,000 fine. Like it just wasn't worth actually leaving the house risking the fine, to be honest.
It's so, I think it's so different though, isn't it? It's just different. And you guys over there are doing really well with the vaccine and stuff. But I was just thinking about Glenn saying about motivation and stuff, and you know, I think I felt the same sort of this week, particularly. I mean, I work in schools now, and it's been half term here, which doesn't mean that I don't work, but it's more, I do the finance side of it, so I can be more casual. You know, I can work to a job rather than have to be in school, sort of thing. And it's it makes it easier. And it's the first time that I've not really gone into school since this all started last March for a few days when I could have done. And I feel like, you know, like Jasper's been talking about his walking, and and I do think it's good. Like I think, like I've felt the same as Glenn in the fact that I've not been motivated, but I think it's because I've lost the structure. And I think over here for us at the minute, we're going. You know, Boris is doing some sort of announcement tomorrow. I don't know if anyone else feels the same, but for me, I've sort of got, you know, overwhelmed by it all. You know, it's almost the anticipation of what he's gonna, you know, what we're gonna do, how we're gonna get out of it. It's like. It's strange, but it's. I think that's sort of where I was coming from with my lack of motivation, and I wanted to see if it was the same for you guys. But
I know from my experience, right? I think always found if you have like more time to yourself, or you're not necessarily busy as such, or if you're stuck at home and there's no urge for you to do anything, it's hard to get up and go. Whereas like if you have a structure and you know you've only got a limited amount of time to do something, then you're more likely to do it. So it's like in your situation, Glenn, if you're sat there for hours ready to go out, or like, you know, ready to go to the gym, there's nothing forcing you doing it. You're working on your own time there. So it is really difficult. And I think that's what I've worked quite hard to do that from home now, working from home. I've gone, right, I'm going to get up at this time, I'm going to read, or I'm going to go for a walk, I'm going to do that. Because if I didn't, I know I'd be miserable. And it's been taking a lot of time to
giving yourself your own structure, right?
It's structuring yourself, having something, being busy with something. Like my job, you know, when we were in lockdown last year, like it's pretty much operations is follow, you know, the task for every step of the day, and unless anything comes in, or you know there's an email or something to do, there's nothing to do. You're sort of sitting and waiting for something to go wrong, or you know what I mean. So I'd just be sitting around doing nothing, and I thought, I can't do this. I need to like have a plan, you know, like breakfast, then gym, like do some workout stuff, then I have to do this at 10, and then you know what I mean, like. And this thing like we're doing now is just gold dust, because I'm helping myself with my mental health, but actually I've got something to do and something to focus on, and
definitely
post some Instagram posts or and just I'm busy, and if I haven't got anything to focus on or a project or something to do, that is it. I'm done, and I'll end up sitting on that sofa for days rather than.
I think this is one thing though that like generally has been overlooked, because if you think about it, for so many people they've never been at home for this sustained amount of time. They've just gone about their normal life for a long time. So this thing right here is probably overlooked by a lot of people. But yeah, from like my own experience, I totally agree with that. For me, I've always got to have something to look forward to and to focus on, and like whether it's a project or whether it's something else. And fitness is now part of that for me, as well as other things. And actually now, when I'm thinking about going back to my everyday job, I'm weirdly thinking, actually, I don't want to just stop doing these things now. I want to make sure I make time for these things again when I do go back to normal life as well. So it's definitely a positive that I found out of this, but I know for sure there's a lot of people that haven't found it a lot more difficult. So it's it would be good to be able to speak to people and to show them actually, if you do put your mind to it and try and do something else, then it can be easier.
Hasn't affected me at all, lockdown.
No,
I've been at work every single week since.
No, I guess in a way then fairly like normal life then in that sense. So like you're
exactly
kind of,
I mean, to be honest with you, it was almost at the beginning. It was almost there was an element of not jealousy, I would say, but an element of envy that people were having all this time off. And my life hadn't changed at all. I was still getting up, going to work, doing the same thing I was doing every day. And it was almost like, I don't know what everyone's making a big fuss about, but I don't know. I still think
it must affect you, though, Del. Like if you think about it in terms of life outside of work. None of us have got anything to look forward to essentially at the minute, have we? And that must affect you, no?
No, because up until it happened, it was fairly sort of fairly flat and level anyway. There wasn't really anything. I mean, the only thing that I potentially had to look forward to was my 50th birthday, which was, I was planning to go to the Caribbean and do this and do that, and basically that all went to shit, and I ended up getting Chinese and COVID again. But so it began with a C. It wasn't quite the Caribbean, but COVID and Chinese was like. So the Chinese apparently have given me two things now. But no, I didn't. It was, and having to live with this whole pandemic since day one, and some might say even before day one, because it was, it was here long before February or January when they said it was. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I suppose, in some ways, I'm lucky that my life hasn't changed an awful lot. But I don't know. I suppose it'll have its different sort of stresses and strains once it's all
definitely
sort of chilled out and relaxed. And
when you said it was funny actually, like that you were envious of other people, and I totally get that. Like to start with, you're almost thinking, well, hang on a minute, why can't I have almost some time off? And I think now probably. There are probably more people envious of you,
exactly.
To work every day, and I think for most people,
I don't know.
Surprising.
I don't think that's stupid because I work in an hospital.
I
mean, I can't see anybody really wanting to stick themselves in the firing line, but I don't know. It is what it is. It's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. We can always look over the fence and say the grass is greener, but is it really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I think we should all get massive payments though, so that all you lot that have been enjoying the time off, we should get compensation package in lieu of the time we never had off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think think about all the people that have had holidays that had booked for last year as well. There's just been no respite for some, and I think I think next year. Well. If not this year, next year, definitely. Imagine all these people that are going to be desperate to go away on holiday and have just even a break now.
Well, I was thinking that though. I was thinking earlier on. I saw an advert on the TV for I think it was for Expedia, and they're saying about all the things that people are going to do. But realistically, I mean, bearing in mind that the economy's in the toilet anyway, what does it mean? Does it mean that holidays are going to be ridiculously cheap? Or does it mean that people are going to be mortgaging themselves up to eyeballs just to go on holiday to Spain for a week.
Yeah, I don't really know. Yeah, it's a good point because I guess there's a holiday's going to suddenly become more expensive, or do they want to make them more, I don't know, even cheaper to ensure people are going to go, or I don't know. Yeah, it's a good point.
I can see Greece and maybe Spain and places like that sort of, bending over, but I don't know necessarily that some of the other places, because everyone's going to be everyone will have been it financially.
Yeah.
So I mean, can they afford to take another?
Lockdown measures have been worse than ours. Everybody has to wear a mask outside in Spain.
Yeah.
They've been more strict than us, so I don't think they're opening up as quickly as we may think.
Yeah, they haven't had their vaccine. Well, half as many vaccines as we had as well. So
I think all the holiday will depend on vaccines, and I know it's only to help, but it will depend on that and how quickly that rolls out across Europe. And then
what's everybody's thoughts about the vaccine though? Because I mean, I'm interested to know how it would appear, and I mean, I sort of said this from day one with the vaccine, that what'll happen is as soon as they've got so many people vaccinated, that's it. They'll lift the lockdown and it'll be country open as normal, pretty much. Because that's the whole thing has been a bit of a disaster from day one, solely down to our media. But I don't know. I mean, the vaccine. I mean, I had it on Thursday, and to be honest with you, I mean, the only reason I had it is because my mum's been going mental at me. You got to have it. You got to have it. So just to keep her quiet, basically. But I don't. I mean, people are expecting it to be like a silver bullet. But to be honest with you,
I think what the vaccine's going to do is talking about holidays and stuff there, right? I don't think that there's going to be any confidence in people to travel without knowing stats and figures on what percentage of a particular population has had the vaccine. And I think the vaccine is going to become our new passport. I really do. I think that you won't be allowed to set foot on a plane unless you've had it. And if that's not a rule, I think some countries will say, unless you've had it and you can show us proof, you're not allowed in our country.
But with all due respect, though, Conway, they don't know that you can't transmit once you've had the vaccine. All a vaccine does is lessen the symptoms that you get when you get they've already shown that.
It's not going to stop the spread, is it?
It's been pushed through super fast.
Spread, no.
The thing is, this is going to be with us forever. It's not going away.
It's like a flu.
It's like, who's had a flu jab? I've never had a flu jab.
Yeah. But then I think the other thing with that as well, though, right? Every single year there's a new flu jab because they're obviously new strains of it, and I think it'll probably be the same with this. This is going to have to be something we live.
It will.
So therefore, actually, it's a good point. If people have had their vaccine, they can still transmit it, and next year there'll be a new vaccine that probably comes out because of the new strain. So it's a good point. I mean, where do you draw the line, and where do you say, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know really how they manage that.
If people say you have to have the vaccine to travel, that is totally wrong, because it's an infringement of every civil liberty we have as an individual. We've got freedom of movement, and that is wrong.
But isn't travel only a freedom of the privileged anyway?
Not if you're Ryanair.
Ryanair are actually the one airline at the moment that have clearly said they said jab and go or something where they're saying people have to have
they got told off for that.
Advert got pulled as well.
Oh, really?
They got fined for that.
Yeah.
Glenn, what do you reckon about out here? So basically every couple of years, because we're not citizens here, we need to go through like a visa process, and part of that visa process is we need to go give blood. So what is it we get tested for, like hepatitis or
the normal stuff that you most of us have
I've got a funny feeling that me and Glenn will be, if we weren't planning on, I plan on taking it, but if for anyone in Dubai or the UAE that's not planning on taking it, I've got a funny feeling they're going to put it as part of that visa process and basically say, if you don't do it,
but that's their choice. They're doing now, as a country.
But what they're doing now is they're like, most companies are putting out emails to around the businesses saying, "Oh, here's information on the vaccine. Have a read, blah blah." Then a couple of weeks later, they put out another one saying, "Oh, here's a webinar on the vaccine. Have a look at the webinar." 2 weeks later, oh, here's some more information on the webinar. We strongly advise that you take on the vaccine. We strongly advise that you take it. Next, what's coming is you have to take the vaccine. And they're saying, a lot of them are saying now that government entities are
testing every 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, every 2 weeks you have to do a test and pay for it yourself or take the vaccine.
So they're basically just blackmailing people into taking it.
Yeah. I think that might be the way that it will go with people on holiday as well. Like, if you haven't got a vaccine, you're going to have to quarantine for the 2 weeks when you get there. I mean, if you're going on a 2-week holiday, then you're kind of stuck at your own place then, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I imagine things will probably become clearer as time goes on, but it does. I feel a little bit uneasy about the idea of them forcing it on people, because that doesn't feel right. And I think if this is to be here for the long term, then it's not right.
The other implication of this is that with the vaccine and the government pushing a vaccine, it's almost like, right, once we've done the vaccine, we've done all we can. The other thing that comes into it is, at the moment, the government are insisting that anybody that goes off with COVID and has to self-isolate and do all that is paid the full amount of sick pay that they're due. So therefore their weekly wage. Now, already companies in the UK are already starting to welch on that and decide to say, well, look, we're not going to do that, we're not going to pay this, and if you've got a problem, you need to take it up with so and so or whatever. As soon as a certain amount of people have got vaccinated and in the country, they'll turn around and they'll just say, well, okay, then all of these these measures that we put in place are now not applicable. So people would still be going off with COVID, but if they've used up any sick time beforehand, having to self-isolate or whatever, because they're only doing it for the 10 days or 14 days. If you're off with symptoms, then that comes off your normal sick anyway.
The narrative from the government is
massively.
The narrative from the government is we've got to learn to live with it, and it's going to be with us. It's not special anymore.
No, exactly.
Going to be with us forever. So it's going to be exactly the same as an illness. If you're ill, you're ill. If you got the vaccine, it helps you get better quicker. But if you're ill for 3 weeks, you're only going to get your statutory state, which is whatever it is for statutory sick pay or whatever. So yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is that they've already researched the long COVID, and some people are suffering. They had it sort of right back at the beginning, and they're already saying that some people are suffering with symptoms, still up to 9 to 12 months later. And we're not talking about symptoms with a runny nose or something like that, and serious deep breathing difficulties. And so it's going to be one of those things. Is this now going to get included on the universal credit and all that kind of stuff? The company, do you know what? The country's in the toilet. Country's in the toilet, and it's solely down to our media. Nothing more, nothing less. The drama that they created back in January and February about this, this thing. That is actually, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, because I'm not into all that. But if the media handled it differently, then the government would have been able to handle it differently. And we should have just isolated the people that needed isolating, not the whole country, not lock down the country and having to pay out billions of pounds to people to sit at home and do nothing.
I think the hysteria created from the media has definitely it's clearly not been helpful at all, and it's probably driven bad decisions from the government in reaction to the hysteria created. So I definitely think it's been poorly handled in that sense, for sure.
I think they could nick 100 million back off of old Bezos. I hate to think how much he's made over this whole scenario. He's took a few quid out of me.
And there was a stat about that, isn't there? There's something like all the billionaires in the world have made some ridiculous amount of an additional £40 billion profit or something.
I think their wealth's grown or something. I saw a percentage. I'm just plucking a number. It might have been 25% their wealth's grown by or something like that.
You can sort of understand why this conspiracy.
I've got to do a quick work call.
All right, mate. Good to see you, Conway.
Lovely to meet you. Lovely to meet you all again. And I'll catch you next week. All right.
Yeah.
Cheers, gents.
See you later. Yeah, you can understand how there's conspiracy theories kicking around, but let's be fair. Rich people have always made money off of misery anyway, haven't they?
True.
Or disasters or something else, because generally they're best placed to capitalise because they got money to throw at situations. So, you know, if it's a constant deluge, they'll go out and buy 3 million umbrellas and sell them, won't they? That's that's just what they do. But I think we need to get an handle on you know, this spending situation and try and claw back as much as we can from people that have made money. I'm not talking about, you know, ruining their business because of it, but you know, they've profited.
Yeah, well, you look at someone like Amazon anyway. They don't even pay full corporation tax as it goes anyway, because like, you know, big companies like that, they get out of it, don't they? They make deals, and they're already not paying the amount of tax that they should. So I agree.
Apple don't pay.
Yeah, Apple
Facebook
don't, Amazon don't, and these guys
Google don't pay.
Exactly, they should. I mean, like, it's, you know, why should they be treated any differently to anybody else? It's not right.
Yeah.
Hello, you still there?
Yeah. Still there.
I was just listening to the commentary in the back.
I think I've lost me.
South got to look out for.
What's happening here? Hold on. I've lost my ears. I can't hear nothing.
Yeah.
What is this doing here?
Was there anything else anyone wanted to talk about? Any
That's
of
better.
any influences that anyone has, or any issues anyone's felt this week? Anxiety, worries.
I can't say I haven't. I think, like, actually for once it's quite nice to sort of genuinely think that. But I think, as I kind of touched on earlier, I think for me, like the last couple of months or so, I feel like this has forced me to really get on top of everything and make sure you are in control of, or you're doing your best to help your own well-being. And I think for me now, I genuinely feel in quite a good place for that reason. So
it's been. I agree with you, Lou. I think the last few months for sure. Like you know, I'm terrible. I'm on medication for anxiety. I see a counsellor. You know, sometimes twice a week. You know, in some weeks, and it's like. But thankfully, in a period of time where, you know, a year ago when this was all quite new, my anxiety was through the roof. But I think actually what's happened is over the last certainly 3 or 4 months, I've been able to sort of really understand what triggers my anxieties and things, because there's no outside influence really.
Yeah, that's it.
Because you're left to sort of actually sit here and think about what's going on in your own head. You're able to pinpoint more what triggers that. And, you know, and I think what we spoke about, you know, the only way to, if you think of your head as a pressure cooker, the only way to release sort of stress from that is to talk or exercise. You know, it's communication or exercise. That's the only way you can relieve pressure from your head. And I think there's no point, and that's why I think particularly as men, we're terrible at particularly the communication. You know, we're terrible at that. And I think that's where I've really focused the last few months for sure. And that is just trying to understand where the trigger points are. And this is probably one of the hardest periods that any of us are going to have in our lives mentally. And it's just, I think it's just, it's really sort of opened my eyes the last few months.
Yeah, hopefully it has forced people in a positive way to kind of, to listen to themselves, and I guess to take action. And I guess, as you say, with cutting out all of the noise, and if we are sort of left to our own devices for, you know, quite a long period of time, then maybe people will naturally come into those conclusions themselves as well. So hopefully that's a positive out of it. But as you say, it's funny how it comes from one of probably the most challenging times certainly most of us of challenging periods we faced in our life. So,
what have you learned about yourself, Adam?
I've just learned that play from the goal. For me, if you set, so most of my anxiety, I think that I build up by not looking, by not stepping away from situations that present themselves immediately in front of me. If you actually step back and look at the longer term, and I'm going to contradict myself a bit more here, because if I suddenly get like a bout of anxiety or panic and it hits me quick, actually what I do is bring myself down to the situation that I'm currently in. Right now, I'm sat on my bed talking here. If I felt anxious now, that's all I would be saying to myself. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
And then forget about what I'm going to feel in the next hour. Look longer away from that, and think about, you know, what will you be doing next week or the next couple of weeks, and just kind of not put too much pressure on yourself at that moment in particular.
Yeah. So someone's got a telly on. Who's that?
No, I've muted him.
Okay.
I keep muting him and he keeps unmuting it again.
Yeah, sorry, that was me. I didn't realise. I thought, what's he doing? Why does he keep doing it? And then I realised it's because I've got the telly on in the background. Apologies, boys. Technology, you know, I've been working IT for long enough, obviously.
Obviously not.
It's your fault.
Yeah, I think
not me. I think, nothing to do with me, son.
I think with that, like, it's kind of similar to what I was saying on the last one about like how I was trying to analyze what exact mood or how I was feeling right now.
Yeah.
And focusing on that rather than, like you were saying, how am I going to feel in a couple of hours, or how am I going to feel tomorrow, or do you know what I mean? Like, I think it is quite good to not overanalyze it, but to say, right, how am I right now? Am I feeling happy, or am I feeling a bit like or am I fit? Do you know what I mean? It's good to feel that and know, okay, right, I'm not in a good mood now, but
you're allowed to feel your own feelings, and you shouldn't be able. You shouldn't beat yourself up about that. That's sort of like a big thing for me. If you feel shit, allow yourself to feel shit. You know, it's not all. Life ain't always great.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's about looking at the big picture and knowing that times like that might pass. I think because it's completely normal to go through periods, and I think definitely
also your body is telling you that you want to be in a bad mood, so you need to be in a bad mood for a few hours. You know, it's not good to stay like that, but
it will pass. And I think it's just being aware of the bigger picture. Sometimes I think when I was younger, I probably suffered with that more, where I'd be in a bad mood and I would almost spiral. And you think about it more and it'd get worse and worse. Whereas now I've sort of got to the point where I've experienced it enough over the years where I've sort of gone, okay, what can I do to help it? And actually, if there isn't anything I do, so what? These things happen. Some days are going to be like that. Look at the bigger picture. Tomorrow's a new day. So
definitely.
Do you think it matters? Do you think it has a bearing on the situation if you live with someone, or if you're seeing someone on a regular basis, like sort of every day? Because then do you then have a what's the word I'm looking for? A responsibility to almost not be miserable, to not show that you've got the ump, or because
does that depend on the relationship you're in with that person?
Well, yeah, exactly.
What that relationship is. Is it father, son? Is it husband, wife, whatever?
Yeah, but let's just say, like, I feel like I'm in a bit of a bad mood, and I feel like I need to just mellow in my bad mood for a couple of hours and sit on the sofa. Amy might be like, well, don't do that. Get up and
that's what I was alluding to.
And try and avoid being like that. But if I feel like I just want to sit on the sofa and be a miserable git for a couple of hours. Maybe that's what I need. You know what I mean? Of course, I don't want to be like that. I'd rather get up and run and then be in a good mood after. But sometimes
it's important, Glenn. Like you don't need to conform to that. Like another thing that I've worked on, I guess, with my partner is that I'm not asking her to understand how I feel, but I'm going to tell you how I feel, and that's it. And I think if you explain to that person how you're feeling, you're not asking them to change the way they're acting around you, but you're telling them, if you do that, that's how it makes me feel, sort of thing. Eventually, it's like two lines meeting together. The more something happens, the more you say the impact that has on you, then it's sort of it's worked. It's worked for me, because it means that rather than me just sitting there saying nothing about it, if I don't agree with something, and just sort of like sucking it up, now I just say whatever's on my mind. And sometimes it isn't always taken well, but then that person eventually will stop doing something else. And I'm not saying Louise is always pissing me off, because she's not at all, but I'm just using her as an example. That person eventually understands that their actions have an influence on how you feel, and it just, but that comes down again to communication, and I think it's so important. So important.
Yeah.
How often does the dog eat your dinner, Adam?
Got a big
I'm
dog.
allergic to the buggers.
It's a huge dog he's got.
If you, the thing is, if you're in a relationship where someone accepts the fact that you're not going to be Mr. Life and Soul all the time, and they're happy to deal with that and everything, then you're lucky. But unfortunately, I don't think. I mean, without looking through life with rose-tinted glasses on, life ain't like that, and most people will not understand. And most people won't accept the fact that because maybe they're dealing with their own issues, and I don't know.
You can't be the life and soul of the party all the time. You can't be Mr. Happy all the time. It's impossible.
You manage it, Jasper.
It is impossible. Eh?
I'll say you manage it.
I don't, my friend. Honestly,
are you serious? Are you serious?
I think he was being.
I think you find Adam is
mate.
taking the piss. Extracting Michael is a polite term.
I know.
Put Del on mute again. He's talking bollocks. I'm on mute as well, for fuck's sake.
Don't let Jess.
Listen, I had a good teacher.
Yeah, give me the mute button.
I'll put the telly back on, shall I?
No.
No, I don't know. I've found the best way for me. I mean, I'm not. There's times when I just can't be bothered to be around people at all. Just not at all. And I suppose I'm lucky from the point of view that. I mean, this is going to sound really horrible, but the girl I'm seeing at the moment.
She ain't watching, is she?
Eh?
She ain't watching, is she? On
no,
YouTube?
no. She's cooking me dinner. I'm going round there later. We have a decent relationship because at the moment she's been to my house twice, and I already told her from day one I don't do sleepovers, and I go to hers more often. She lives at Caterham, so I go over there, and the reason I do that is because I can get up and leave when I need to leave. If she comes here, she's only been here twice, but the first time she came here, she sort of lingered a bit longer than I wanted her to. Which sounds horrible, but do you know what I mean? It's like that's the way it is. It's like that's the way that I deal with the situation. Rather than telling her to do one, I just sort of sucked it up and just don't really get her over it that often.
She went to bed and left her watching telly.
No, listen, she just when it's like I want when you're just thinking in your head now, look, it's time now, it's time. You know what I mean? So, but no, I think she's all right. Do you know what I mean? She's getting what she needs.
When I finish work, a lot of times I need an hour or something just to clear my head, calm down, whatever else and stuff. I've taken to cooking, and people know not to come and talk to me when I'm cooking. That's just the way it is. Yeah. I'll take a lot of time preparing the food and doing those things. It's just a discipline to go.
I like that. That helps me switch off as well. Definitely. Like when I come home from work, when I leave work, I'm in a really good mood, and then I get on the train. And then this is obviously when I was going to work. Not back in the office yet, but when I'm coming back from work on the train, I start to switch off a bit. By the time I get into my house, I don't want to talk to anyone, and I might come across like I'm in a really bad mood, but I'm not. I just don't. Yeah. It's a bit of a time where I don't really. I feel like I'm in limbo, if that makes sense. And then what I then do is, if I make dinner or something like that, and I prepare things, it gives me an opportunity to sort of settle down a bit and just to relax. And then after that, I'm good as gold. Might be the fact that I may be really hungry. Maybe that's why I'm in a bad mood, but I don't know.
But coming back to what Adam said, though, the fact that I explained it and said, do you know what? I just need time to relax. I can't explain it. I just need time to relax and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And
that's it.
And it's going to be, and cooking is what I do. And I don't like people being in the kitchen when I'm cooking. And everyone,
I hate that.
Fair enough.
That's all very well though, but until they've got a demand on you for whatever reason, and that demand might be wanting to talk about what they've done all day, or wanting to talk about a bill that needs to be paid, or something needs doing in the garden, or the dog needs walking. Do you know what I mean? It's great, but if that demand falls into your space, do you know what I mean? And that's, I suppose it's an easy cop-out just to go, well, I'm just not going to invest in life anymore in terms of personal relationships and that. But I don't know. I mean, you get to a certain point in your life and you sort of know, I think you know what you know, don't you? And it's just whether you want to make compromises that are going to affect your well-being.
If someone approaches me at that time, they just don't expect a smile on my face. That's all.
Do you eat with a spatula?
Huh?
Do you eat them with a spatula or a wooden spoon?
I'll get it done, and I'll be grumpy as hell. I'll do it because I know it has to be done, and it's fine. But I'll be grumpy doing it. That's just the way it is. And they know
you put something extra in their burger.
Exactly. Just get your throat going. It is though. It's one of those things. I can't explain it. I just need to wind down. You know, just to wind down. And I found cooking is a great. Since the lockdown, I've now found that cooking's a good thing for me to do.
Yeah.
In those situations, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah,
but it's things like that, Doug, that will give you the sense of achievement for doing it as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Washing up.
And that's the thing. The opportunities to do that sort of thing is what we've lost throughout this lockdown. You know, you've actually achieved something by cooking something. You've actually, you know, Glenn just said washing up. You've achieved something by washing up.
Right, no one wants to do that job, and when you've done it, you feel good, and then you can say to your partner, "Oh, I've done washing up."
Obviously, I passed that crack pipe on to you, Glenn, because no one ever in the world said I enjoyed washing up.
Well, I don't really, but once I get going, I'm like, it's all right. And then once I've done it, I'm like, I've done it. So,
for me, that's like doing a little task or doing something that I don't necessarily enjoy, but it's like it's life, so I'm going to do it. And I think I get a little bit of a little boost out of it. I'll take that back to like when I do my running. I absolutely hate running, but I know at the end of it, once I finished it, I feel good because I did something that isn't necessarily, you know, it's not a luxury. It's something that I feel like I'm pushing myself. And if it's cleaning dishes as well, then it's kind of similar.
Make sure it's the best dish ever cleaned as well.
Yeah. Don't know about that. I might not go that far with it. I'll just chuck it.
I'm wondering
for a walk, so I'll see you all next week.
We would never want to keep you from your walking, big boy.
Yes,
Thank you.
Latest chat.
Take care.
See you later, mate.
Yeah, I think you've all gone absolutely mental because it's no way washing up is an enjoyable thing to do. I mean, I must admit, I do get a bit of an on when I've loaded the dishwasher, but it's mainly because there's a big pile of dishes disappeared out the sink. But
we ain't got one. That's the problem, isn't it?
What's that?
A dishwasher, mate. No dishwashers. Not out here. I ain't got a dishwasher here. So
you're winding me up.
Isn't that what Amy does?
In Dubai.
No, that's the problem, isn't it?
I
don't think I'll bother coming out there now then. No dishwasher. no dishwasher and 25 West Ham fans. It's not really selling it to me, Glenn.
It's Glenn. You're not selling it to him, mate.
No. Well, if you want to come out, mate, feel free.
Right. Listen, I think
now I know why you've been.
What's that?
Go on. I was going to say, I know why you've been so keen to get people out there now, Glenn, because now you just need someone to wash your dishes for you. Yeah.
It's only after one thing.
Yeah.
Mate, I'll tell you what, there's only one place I'm going now. Hopefully it won't be for a while yet, because it's reliant on me inheriting a large sum of money. But as soon as that happens, I'm off, mate. France, here we come. Don't care about anything to do with Brexit. Buy a place out there and I'm gone, retired. Ta-da.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I've already. Do you know what the weird thing is last week I was bored, so I started looking at properties. I mean, it's not going to happen for a long time yet, but it's just that's the goal. That's what's and it's a bit weird because it's almost like shutting myself off from the rest of civilization. But it's something that fills me with a bit of I don't know, joy.
That's good. To plan something in the future is good. I've been looking at buying land. I was amazed how cheap land can be on things. But also, there's a company in America where you buy a room self-made. I think it takes a day to put it up. It's about $40,000. But to build a house, you literally buy 8 of these or whatever else. Things have like. In a big square with a thing in the middle and stuff, or on top of each other and stacked and stuff. But they literally come up. So there's a place in Croydon. The whole office block is made with these little with these things, where they just put them in. They make them in the factory and just drop them in. I'm thinking, the cost of those from the company in America, I've been speaking to them. You can make a house for literally, £200,000, really, I suppose.
We can buy them anyway, Doug. There's companies that companies that do that. What's it, Huff House, and there's German companies that do them. So you can buy like a 2-bedroom bungalow for like 180 grand, and it comes ready built and everything. It's like, well, it don't come ready built, but they come and do it on site, and so I mean, that's something that, funnily enough, is something that I was looking at. That in France, if I buy the land, but
the land would be cheap, won't it?
Oh, the land's ridiculous cheap. But what I want to do is I want a land with a lake, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it as so that it supplements the income, but just something to keep me busy, and I'll have a little fishery or whatever. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah, that'll keep me happy.
Oh, exactly. It's good. It's good to work towards that sort of stuff, though. And there are lots of opportunities now. They've got those 3D printers. They've made one that does houses now. And it prints. It does it in cement, but it prints off your house in cement, which is mad. Builds a house a day. It is crazy. But all this new technology, coming through, cheaper house and stuff.
No, my luck, I'd get one and it'd be back to front. Yeah. I'd have the wall. I'd have the inside on the outside. It'd be one of them special houses for special people. Right, chaps. Listen, I've got to. I'm going to get on and do stuff.
Yeah, got the Arsenal game coming up.
It's I'm not going to bother to watch that because my day will be capped off massively if they beat Man City. I think I'll go and bury myself in the garden.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen, Dale. Don't worry. Anyway,
no, I don't think it'll happen either. But there's always, the way things are going, there's an outside chance, and that will really ruin my roast dinner later. Yeah. All right, Jeff. Been a pleasure.
Anyway, nice to meet you guys.
See you later.
See you, mate.
Yeah. Guys, Glenn, I've got a nip off as well, right? So nice to meet you all.
No, cheers, brother. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, and
I hope you enjoyed that. It was good. See you, mate.
Yeah, cool. Take care, boys. Bye.
Yeah, get me paint my face red and white. It's fine.
All right, mate. That was quite good, wasn't it? It was all right.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And if you look at it, I mean,